Welcome everybody, and thank you for being so punctual today. And I've got to I'm Jackie Attard, I'm the CEO of Realised Business, and I'm on a line with two of my team members, Jacqueline Wainwright, who's our marketing and brand manager, and Courtney, who's managing who's our event manager. So this has been, an overwhelming response, one of our biggest webinars. I've pulled together a lot of information. I've spent the week researching. I really want to try and share accurate information with you. There is a lot of information out there. We want to ensure that the information we give you is practical. And gets you and gives you confidence and helps you with next steps and helps you get moving on what it is that you need to be moving on. Firstly, I just want to send out my heartfelt, it's been a tough week for all the businesses that are really impacted. Sorry, I don't know where that came from, but it's been a tough week for us here, and there's a lot of you that, for no reason or no fault of your own, you found yourself in this really difficult situation. So I do cry a lot in our office. And I usually don't cry in front of clients, but there you go. That's what's happened. Our team are working really, really hard, and we're trying to make it as possible for you. And we want to help you make really good decisions, and decisions that are ones that are going to be, going to help you post-corona and dealing with corona. So I'll just pull myself together and get started. So today, what I'm going to focus on is immediate considerations following this interruption. So I'm going to talk about the stimulus and what it means for each one of you. And I'm going to try and really break it down for you. Then I'm going to talk to you about what are the things that you should be focusing on now. What can you do? And really, it's such a priority to be going digital. And we, so how can you best utilize that for your business? Now I'm sure you'll all have questions, and we've got the chat box. Jacqueline and Courtney are going to be managing the chat box, so please type your questions in the chat box, and I'll try and slow down at each sort of interval and see what questions have come up for you. If we have too many questions that we don't have time to we are going to type up the questions and send them out to you. I could just remind everybody to have their microphones on mute. That'd be great. So I want to just talk to you about the stimulus package. Okay, so the government has got stimulus packages for what they call businesses and not-for-profits who are doing under 50 million, which is mainly all of us here today, and then government stimulus packages for sole traders. And then I'm going to talk to you about financial hardship and what that means for you and what you need to do. So the stimulus package for sole traders. So if your income has been negatively impacted due to corona, you get an accelerated access to New Start. How do you apply for New Start? Go on mygov.au. You will be entitled to an extra supplement there of $550 per fortnight, which will bring New Start up. Bring New Start up to about $1,100. Someone's asked rental assistance. You can't get rental assistance for commercial properties right now. So it's only, rental assistance only applies to residential. I understand, I spoke with the Minister of Small Business yesterday, and there's changes going on all the time. They're assessing and they're looking at it. Potentially there may be on the table, but right now, no commercial property rental assistance. So, so that's the New Start supplement. They've taken away the asset test, which would typically be there to get New Start, but the income test still applies. The other way you can apply for assistance or access income is through your superannuation. So if you have super, you can prove that your income has been reduced, and it's a self-assessment proof by 20% compared to average turnover over the last 6 months of 2019. You can apply for $10,000 now, so before the end of the financial year, and then that happens mid-April. You can start applying for that, and then you can apply again in the next financial year. So within the next 6 months, you could apply for $20,000 drawdown on your super. There's no need to pay tax on the amounts that you release from that. So that is that's the sole traders. Now for businesses, so they called this a cash boost for businesses, and what they mean by cash boost is if you pay salaries and wages, when you put in your BAS return on the 28th of April, you'll get a $10,000 minimum payment credited by the ATO. This is going to be automatically happening. Even if you didn't pay, if you paid zero, so if you pay salaries and wages, but you took out zero tax from those salaries and wages, you are entitled to this $10,000. And you took out withholding tax from salaries and wages, and it was greater than $10,000, up to $100,000, you will get 100% refund of that at your next BAS return. There will be a second lot of this, which will happen at the next BAS. So this will happen now, the 28th of 4th, and I think the next in June. So the idea is that they want to see you keep people employed in the next BAS. So if you are paying salaries and wages, you can get this credit. There's an instant write-off of assets. So if your business as usual and you are impacted by Corona, this is a great opportunity for you to stimulate the economy, and also for you to get an advantage of purchasing something for your business and instantly write it off as an asset in your tax return. So that's up until the 30th of June. There's also tax relief. So what they mean by that is that if you have got a tax debt on your GST and it's been incurred since January 2020, that there's no interest to be paid on that. There's also, if you have got a tax debt, that the tax office has reduced their interest rates on the tax debt. So both of those are available for you. Now, there's a lot of questions around this cash boost. If you are a sole trader and you pay salaries and wages, you are also entitled to this. So, that is, it's not just, proprietary limited companies. It's anybody paying salaries and wages. Now, what I want to also stress about what I just covered with you is it's complicated, unfortunately, and you're going to really need to work with your accountant on that. My advice has been general, but specifically you need to work with your accountant or your BAS agent, your bookkeeper. They're all people who understand your specific circumstances and can really help you with that. Now, the other thing that you have got is easier access to loans. So the government are actually banks and they're underwriting loans so that businesses can get unsecured loans, which is actually unheard of. We all know how impossible it is for businesses to get loans. So if you feel that your business could sustain a loan, you can get up to 250K. The repayments, obviously, it's for a term of up to 3 years, but the loan repayments are free for the first 6 months. So that could be a way that if you were looking at funding yourself. And I'll talk to you about how Realise Business specifically can help you. But just with this here, if anyone wants specific help here, we actually have a funded access to finance business advisor who used to work in banks, who used to approve business loans. So she knows how to actually help you with the application process, and she's all over this. So if you want to have time with Amy, we'll let you know how at the end that you may be able to access that. If you have apprentices and trainees, this came out as one of the first stimulus packages that you've got 50% wages for up to 9 months. So if you were employed with you from January, and I think the cutoff was February. So if they were on your books, I think the first week of February, you qualify for this. So if you keep them employed to September, you've got a subsidy of 50% of their salary. So I talked about the tax relief. Also, one other thing that you may want to consider, if you pay more GST than you receive, what that means is that you actually owed a GST, and sorry, I didn't finish this sentence here. My apologies on the GST returns part of the slide. To accelerate cash flow, move from quarterly to monthly GST returns, and they've made that simple for you. So what I mean by that is, again, if you pay more GST than you collect, then a way to boost your cash flow is to move to monthly GSTs. Returns. Now, debt relief, I'm going to go into a little bit more about this specifically, but there's 6 months deferred payment on any business loans for you. But I'm going to talk about the impact of business loans later and what you have to negotiate with the banks on that. Okay, so financial hardship. So financial hardship is if you feel that so you've got liabilities out there and you're nervous about them. So you may, there's, and you may have seen in the press, yes, you can get, you can defer your payments for your mortgage. But please be aware that we have done our research and there's no one bank deals with this in the same way. But you need to be aware of the risks for you and negotiate. So talk to your bank, talk to your mortgage broker as soon as possible to start to get this, to start to work on this. Don't wait till it's too late. Don't wait till you defer, because if you actually miss a payment, it's too late to then go back and negotiate. If you show that you are responsible and you're doing it before you hit hardship, then there's no issues for you. The banks will put this in place. So you want to defer your payments. So you'll talk to the banks, but what you want to know is, are these payments going to capitalize at the end of the loan? So at the end of the deferred time. So what this means is typically at the end, so if you defer your payments for 6 months, the interest will still be capitalizing, which means you may have a larger, you'll have a larger loan, you'll owe more at the end of the 6 months than what you did at the start. In other words, interest doesn't stop getting charged on your account, even though your payments are being are stopped. What you want to know is, how is this going to impact your repayments after the period? So what do you need to know? Are they going to expect a higher repayment to cover the extra cost at the end? This one, really important. We can't find a clear answer on this. I would expect it shouldn't, but we just I can't be clear on it. So I want you to talk to the banks on your credit rating or your ability to secure another loan in years to come. How is this going to impact your credit rating if you do defer your loan? And then you're going to know what evidence is required. What do you need to provide to the banks so that they can, so that you can do this. So get onto this as soon as possible if you feel like your business is negatively impacted by the coronavirus. Now, the next thing you want to negotiate is rent. So someone raised the rent issue earlier, and they asked if there was any government help for commercial leases. There's not. And your landlords are business people too. So this is a really difficult position for both parties. But negotiate. Talk to your landlord, speak with them sooner rather than later. We actually have on our, Jacqueline, just help me here. We do have available on our website right now a webinar that Catherine Blizzard ran on, your obligations under your lease. This was information that we learned because we were on both the Sydney Light Rail and now we're on the Parramatta Light Rail projects, and both of those. So we have an enormous amount of experience working with disruption and businesses that, overnight find themselves, with, disrupted incomes. And we, what can you and what can't you negotiate with your landlord? So Jacqueline, is that online?
Yeah. It is. It's on the website. It was also released on social media yesterday, but we can send the link for you on your thank you email with the recording of this webinar as well, if attendees would like to view that.
Yeah, it's really good to get around. Like Catherine just explains your lease obligations, so that in simple terms. So but you also need to get some legal advice as well. You can also, any utility bills and telecommunication bills all have hardship packages set along with them. So go speak with your providers and get them organised. The other thing you might have is commercial leases on cars, vehicles. I'm not really clear on where that stands as far as the business loan and the government stimulus package, but it can't hurt to ask the banks in regards to that as well. So have I got any questions about stimulus and hardship that I need to answer before I move on to the next part?
Yes, Jackie. So a couple of people asked a similar question. So I'm just going to go with Rod's question, which was, my next BAS has about 6K PAYG. Do I get that back, or is it a credit for my next BAS, as this won't help my cash flow?
Okay, yeah, that's a really good question. What I understand from what I have read and is that if you owe 6K, I believe that you pay the 6K and then you get a credit for the 6K. So what it means is that I believe that now, but I'm not sure if they're changing it, but what I believe from what I read is that you are then credited back the 6K. So I understand what you mean. It's not that you actually don't actually receive it. Someone said their accountant told them it was 2K, but they changed Meredith on Sunday. So it went from 2K to 10K up to 100K. Original stimulus was 2K to 50K, but now it's 10 to 100.
Okay, I got one from Jose, Jackie.
Yeah.
What if you don't pay salaries yet, but you work on the company full time?
Yeah, well, you pay yourself a salary, Jose. That's what I'm going to tell you. So if you've taken drawings, are you registered as a PAYG? Have a look, and so speak to your accountant. Yes, you're registered. Good. Then if you're registered, and if you've got you take salaries, and but again, please, you must speak with accountants because it's complex.
Okay,
sorry, I'm just going to clarify, Meredith. So Meredith, if you paid $2,000 in PAYG, the minimum you'll get is $10,000. So you'll actually get $10,000 credit. Even if you paid $2,000, the minimum is $10,000. If you paid $0 PAYG, the minimum you're going to get is $10,000.
Okay. One from Sam. Sam set up a business in February this year and was aiming to travel and source products, but can't now. Would he be eligible for any financial assistance?
You have to prove hardship, or you have to prove a downturn as a result of coronavirus. And the only way you could prove that is you've got to show what you were earning and now what you're earning. So if you are in startup phase, you're actually not showing any hardship because you've got nothing. You actually haven't earned an income yet in your business. So you're probably more likely for the job seeker payment. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Jackie. A couple more. Have we got time for a couple more?
Yeah, I'll take one or two more and then we'll move on. Yeah.
Ivana has asked what stimulus that they can get for a restaurant running under a PTY Ltd company started in August 2019 and not registered for GST and no PAYG withholding.
All of what I've talked about is all around that. So yeah, well, have you paid salaries and wages? Because if you've paid salaries and wages, then you're entitled to the $10,000 minimum repayment. Yeah. Okay. Some of the questions, so I'll try. So what I'm going to now do is move on to the next part. But what we are going to do is we're going to download the questions that we've received. We'll answer those questions and we will send the answers to the questions to everybody so that you can have a look at it. The questions are coming, for your specific circumstances, and as I will just stress, you need to be in communications with your BAS agent or your accountant because they're the best to be able to guide you, because there may be some strategies that you haven't thought of that you could put in place now that you could take advantage of. And I've heard some clever ones for some people. I'm going to talk now. So that's the stimulus. So the first thing, you're disrupted. You've got to look at what you're entitled to, and you've got to keep looking at that and keep informing yourself of that. The other thing that we will also add is there's some really good government explanations of each of the stimulus packages with different case studies that talk about different scenarios, and we'll provide those links because I know it's really hard to sort of try and find the content or the right content on a government website, but we have access to that. So business continuity planning, this is you're now in a very important stage of your business and you need to start to think about the future. What are the things you're going to need to think about while you're in this stage? So I've broken them up into these 4 areas. Finance is absolutely key, right? That people customer, and your operations. So I'm going to pull each of these apart for you and talk about what you need to be focusing on. So firstly, if you employ people, I would imagine by now you've all created some form of plan. You've all looked at what, under, what the government Health Act has out there and what you've got to do in your business. So are people working remotely? What do people need to do if they do go, if you are working, if you are still working? So if you're a trade and you still have your team out there working, you need to ensure that should anybody come along to check what you're doing on the site, that you've got access to antiseptic, that there is soap there, that people are washing their hands, that there is the social distance, that you are managing all of that. And if you had a documented plan, if you're still working and you're still in one of the essential services, really important that you have this. You need to retrain your staff. You need to demonstrate that you've done that, and you need to reassess your risk assessments. What do your staff know? Who do they need to talk to in case of? What do you, and how are you going to respond should there be a risk of any of your people having been exposed to COVID-19? You've got a big responsibility here to keep your staff safe. And so, it doesn't have to be a big document. Bullet point it, talk about cleanliness, talk about hygiene, talk about what you expect for them if they're working, if they're still working and dealing with the public. On top of that, if you've got people working remotely, what are you doing to support them? How are you ensuring that their workplace is ergonomic and that they've got what they need at home? And how are you connecting as a team? What are the platforms that you're using so that you can continue connecting with your team? That's the people. Operations. You're going to need to look at your operations and your workforce. What happens if you're going to lose 25%, 50%, 75% of your workforce? That just all depends. What are your obligations for paying employees? What are you going to do if you stand down? So you need a whole plan around your team. If there's a complete lockdown, what does that mean for your business? You need to talk to your suppliers, have conversations with them. I'm sure they're having lots of conversations. There's a lot of nervousness out there around debt. I imagine any of you that are owing suppliers any money, or any of you that do supply people. I heard today from from the guy that's making my coffee that's still open, bless him. He was talking to me, he's getting daily texts from his suppliers. So if your business is at risk and you've got debts, do work really hard at trying to recover those debts. Review any contracts that you've got. Again, you might have some contracts if you're in the construction industry that have time bar notifications, meaning if you don't deliver by a certain date, you're penalized. Speak with a lawyer, get understanding of what that means for you. Okay, customers. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail around customers at the end when we talk about digital, but I can't stress enough that you need to be speaking with your customers. If you have a database, brilliant. Talk to them, tell them how you're doing to manage COVID-19. Find out from your customers what they are doing. Keep talking often, and work together to maintain continuity of service. I want you to rethink how you serve your customers. What can you do online? How do you do home delivery? What are different products or services that you can do? How do you pivot? What do your customers need now? what has changed. If you're a B2B, meaning business to business, I'm going to tell you it's not a time for sales right now. It'll fall on deaf ears. It's a time for building brand. So I want you to keep communicating. You know, if you think people are going to listen to, oh, you'll get my service 1 week free, I've reduced my things by 50%, it's going to fall on it. People are tone deaf to that right now. I want you to think about the cycles of grief. Elizabeth Kobar, I think Smith, I can't think of it. Anyway, she's written a framework on the stages of grief. So you are very emotionally attached to your business. We all are very emotionally attached to our businesses. Our businesses are our babies. We hear that all the time. Right now, losing your business is really, grief. I'm feeling the grief. And so when we go through grief, it's no different to any loss. There's stages of that grief. So right now is really early stage of grief. So please be aware of that and look at your brand and how you want to be post COVID-19. Think about what you want and how you want people to remember you post COVID-19, and keep communicating what you want them to think about. You know, no one is going to be responding. It doesn't matter how great it is. People are just like inward facing right now and thinking about that. They will come out again. They will move through different stages, but right now the stage is denial and anger. And so don't try and sell to people who are in that emotional state. You know, I have frameworks all over around the emotional side of running a business. And so you can't separate how we're feeling from our businesses, because we are the source of our business. And so, you've got the other piece around it is, as hard as it is for you, it's about really trying to stay in a positive mindset and trying to really think about the things that you can do. And that's where we are. That's what we're trying to help you with. So what is it you can do? How do you use this time to help you move through the stages that you're moving through? So your customers are feeling that as well, especially if they're in business or they've lost their jobs, and you're dealing with consumers. So financial, this is critical. The finances, if you haven't known your finances, headed buried in sand around finances. We know a lot of our clients that are in business, this is the one thing they all run from, or they abdicate. No abdication of your finances right now. You need to run your numbers. You need to redo your budgets. You need to restructure debt. You need to rework your cash flow modeling. You need to look at business basics, but you need to reduce costs and speed up cash collection more than anything. So I'm going to run through this in some detail because this is critical. And I'm going to run through how to do a cash flow forecast. I have got an Excel spreadsheet, and we will offer that Excel spreadsheet to you to help make it easier for you to do this for yourself. Sorry. Okay, so you've got to analyze expenses and analyze income. Do I need to answer any questions, Jacqueline, before I move on?
I don't think so, Jackie. I think they're all just there's no more questions on that. The other questions are still on the stimulus package that we'll email back answers to.
Okay, got you. So you're analyzing expenses. So you've got to look at you've got to look at what you can and can't cut back. But you've got to be mindful that there's going to be a post-COVID. So don't shoot yourself in the foot either. So look at what won't hurt you in the long run there. Okay, so sorry.
Jackie, sorry to interrupt. Just when you right click, we can see that because you're doing screen share. So some people have just questioned that they can't see the text. So you know when you get your little...
Yeah, got it. Sorry, I'm running two screens, so that's why I have to do it that way. So I'll try and do it again. Income. So which areas are going to be impacted, and how much do you think they're going to be impacted to? What are your large and small contracts? What are the terms of the contracts? Speak to your referrers. If you have referrers in your business, if you're a health professional who has referrers, see what's happening in their business and talk to them about what's happening in yours and see if it's going to impact yours. Really important to use this time to build a depth of relationship with your referrers. People want to hear what other people are doing, even if it's just hey, how's it going for you, and sharing what you've learned and what you're doing. Good time to build that and keep that, and just a brand building exercise. Here's a spreadsheet called a cash flow forecast. Now, depending upon your business, some of you will need to do this monthly. Some of you will need to do this weekly, and I'm going to explain this to you. So what you've got is, this is a document that shows income coming in, total cash inflows, income coming out. If you take your income coming in and add it to what was the opening cash balance, which is that first line of income. So that's what's in your bank account. If that's what's in your bank account, so if we say hypothetically, instead of June, that is April. Okay, the 31st of March, 30 days, yeah, 31st of March, 1st of April, what's in your bank balance? You type that number there. Then you write, okay, what do I think I'm going to make? What am I going to sell? What income's going to come in? And then have your different line items there. That's your total cash inflows. And then your total cash outflows are all the costs that you're projecting. So let me just show you this. So if you have a look at this, what you've got is the bottom line there, which is net cash balance. Net cash balance goes to the top of the next month, because that's saying what I think will be in the bank account at the end of July. In this example, that's what's going to start August. And then I need to redo my numbers for August. So as you can see, if you do your forecast, I will be seeing how much debt I may need to cover myself for before I can turn it around. And so this is a projection. So you actually go into this first, you put what you think it's going to be. So you've analysed all your expenses, you've analysed all your income, and now you put these numbers in here. And then when you actually do April, you come in and you actually fill the actuals in April. And if you did better than you projected, that's going to help with your forward projections. And you're going to really know your numbers. So here's what I'm talking about. Opening cash balance, the very first month. So in this example, I've got July. You know, for you, what was in your bank account on the 1st of July? So let's say you start it from April. What's in your bank account on the 1st of April? What do I think I'm going to sell? I have a couple of services. I think I'm going to, looking at what I know, the best guess, and the best guess, be conservative. Don't be optimistic here. It's no time for optimism. It's really time for a bit of just, you know, I don't want to be pessimism, but really be clear on, you know, do some analysis and really think about it. Have a look at past, know what customers are coming back, know what appointments you think you're going to have. What products may I be able to sell? So that's going to show, okay, in this example, for instance, in July, I think I'm going to make about $24,000 in sales. The next part of the spreadsheet is outflows. What am I going to spend in the next, you know, in April? So I know what my payroll is going to be. Now, pay run is actual cash paid. So it's what you actually pay your staff, not the gross, but the net. So you can see that there's a tax line. So your PAYG, you know, if you pay it quarterly, you've got to work that out. So BAS and pay, so you may need some help with this. You may need your accountant to help you work out what your PAYG is going to be. But your net salary, so actually, you know, so if you think about your bank account, when you pay your staff, what is it that's going to come out of your bank account? It's going to be the net salary that you pay them. Then when super due, and then other things like when your insurance is due. And then you think about what's your facility expenses, what are your marketing costs, what are your admin expenses, any other expenses that you may have. So you may have to give back GST. So this is where you're going to say, well, how much GST did I collect? And how much GST did I pay? So the paid GST will be the negative amount, so because that's going to be credited to you. So that's this document. Now, if you find, you know, even if you don't do the GST or the payroll piece, I mean, well, you have to do the PAYG because you know how much that is, but you may find it challenging to do the GST piece. Just keep it, and all these numbers. So when you do zero is, when you look at your P&L, zero is no GST on your P&L. This is what you actually pay. So it'll be including GST. So it's actually what money goes in your bank account and what money comes out of your bank account. And then finally, this is the bottom. So it says if my cash inflows were 24,000 and my outflows were 91,000, but I had 56,000 in my account when I started. So what this calculates is 56 plus 24 is going to be about 80,000. Then my net cash balance is going to be negative 11. And so then you can see that that bottom number will go to the top of the next month, like so. So the bottom number will come up there. Really, I can't stress this is the most important thing that you need to do. And depending upon your business, you may need this weekly. This is your Bible right now. This is something that you have to get your head across. So, you know, please, it is the first thing I did when I started to see, and the first thing where I knew where was I, what could I do different? Where did I need to, what changes did I need to make? Any questions about the cash flow forecast, Jacqueline?
Yeah, just a couple. One from Catherine, which was in regards to staff taking leave. Can you stand them down before paying their leave?
Okay. Yeah, well, if they've actually, yeah, that's a real HR issue, and so probably more of a fair work and a legal question. But the way if you have been running, depending upon how you've been running the business, and I know it's tough in a small business, but really leave should be what they call on the balance sheet. So there should be money in the bank account that you've been taking out, you know, monthly, that is put aside to pay for leave. And so that then when it comes to the staff taking leave, you've actually covered that every month. If that's not the case for you and you don't have it on your balance sheet and you're looking at standing staff down, you have to make that move. You have to move them. You have to, the first thing you do is stand them down, because if you can't afford to pay their leave, I would have to take advice on the timing of all of that. And what you have and haven't approved. Because right now your policies are in place. So if you have a leave policy, which says, you need to you need to apply for leave within 2 months, you need to give us 2 months notice to apply for leave, you can actually reject leave, because based on your policy, you don't have to accept their leave application. You can actually force leave. So if you've been putting it away, it sits on your balance sheet, you've got it there in your bank account, you could say, hey, I'm forcing leave. Everybody's got to empty their leave bank accounts, and you can do that.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. Alison asked, and I think Jackie was just giving general advice, but Alison asked, how can you forecast your losses if clients aren't asking or confirming what they will be doing in April?
Well, you're going to have to take best guess, right? You're going to have to take best guess. You're going to have to think about, where are my clients at? You're going to have conversations with your client. Even if they're difficult conversations, you're going to need to have them with your clients, because you're going to need to know. And I'm sure your clients are used to having these conversations. We're actually sharing some content from one of our members who's an expert negotiator, and she's giving and she's sharing how to have those conversations. Because it's now March, and you're going to need to know what you need to plan for in April.
And then that's really the last one. A few people have asked for the spreadsheet, Jackie, and we will share that, won't we?
Yeah, we'll share that spreadsheet. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go next. Okay, so going digital. This is my last section. If you haven't gone digital, you need to get online fast. But if you are digital, great. But let's talk about what you do digitally. So digital is where you can keep your clients updated and informed. So you want to be building content right now that is what if scenarios. So Gary V, who's a bit of someone I really admire and I follow, he actually gave great examples of this morning. But he said, if you're business to business, you will, your content needs to be what if scenarios. So what you could be saying, for instance, is, if who are the clients that you want to be working with post-corona? Like, what are the clients you would be saying, based on your level of expertise, you would be saying, well, what if I was a plumber right now? This is what I would be doing. If you want to work with plumbers. So if you can do videos, it's branding and content. You're not asking for the sale. And and the really good example that Gary V used this morning, he said, like, Nike don't call you up and ask you to buy sneakers. They build the brand and then you buy sneakers. So right now you've got this opportunity to think about, what is my brand and how am I going to communicate that brand to my customers, my referrers, my potential clients, new clients that I don't even have yet, and what platform am I going to use to do that on, and how am I going to do that regularly? So it's not the time to stop communicating, it's the time for really smart communication, emphatic communication, understanding, giving away what you can that is of value to your clients, and what your clients need right now. The other thing is we're all going digital with our delivery, if you've got that type of business. So you need to think about your client experience, because delivering your client experience online is different, right, to face-to-face. So don't assume that it's going to work, the same as what it's been working for you face-to-face. You might have to work harder to deliver value to your clients. You might have to have like shorter consultation times. You might have to get feedback, review and refine. So some of us have all moved to online platforms for delivery. I've seen that we've got, we've got dance lessons online. We have people doing, training online. We're doing all our consultations online, all our workshops are online. The lemonade that will come out of this, the lemonade from the lemons that we're just being in front of us, could be, a new world where people and your business model is transformed more to be a digital business model. But you really need to be looking at how do you get online fast, and what is it about your business and your products and what your clients want that you can deliver to them with this medium. So can't stress that. If all you've done online is have a website and go and look at your website, what needs to be doing, there is, some great, it's great to have, the opportunity to be able to spend time to work on your business right now and think about all those tasks and jobs that you thought, yeah, I'll get around to. This is what this time is, but know that you're doing the smart things is really what is, just not building things for building's sake. The other thing to think about, a lot of you are perfectionists and you want to make it perfect before you do it. No time for perfection. Movement is fast. You've got to move fast to stay relevant. Don't worry, everybody is in the same boat. So if it's not perfect, review and refine. But don't delay, don't procrastinate, don't get it perfect before you do it. Jacqueline, any questions that have come up that I need to respond to?
Yeah, we've got one from Alison. Alison was wondering how long should she go on digital before she would know if it was working?
Alison, you got to be on digital. And, building a brand is time. It's not sudden impact. Building a brand is an investment. So what you've got now, depending upon how long this goes for, some people are talking 3 months, some people are talking 6 months, some people are talking weeks. We don't know. So you're going to need to be online and you're going to need to just keep working it. But it might take 12 to 18 months. It doesn't matter, you've started now and you've got it moving, depending upon how you go to market, the messaging you say. But building brand is an investment. It's not sudden impact. And people get confused between sales and marketing. So people think that, they think that marketing is sales, and it's not. Building a brand is not sales. Building a brand is investment. Building a brand builds equity. Building a brand builds a business. Building a brand builds something that you can sell on the other side of, and I know none of us are thinking about that. Most of us are thinking about staying in business, rebounding our business, or looking at how we can pivot.
Okay, we've got one from Michelle. Michelle isn't sure what the best online platform for a tennis coaching business would be.
Depends on your clients, Michelle. So if your clients depends on their age, and it depends on, so you got to factor in a number of things. Are they, is it the mums that you want to talk to? Who's the decision maker for your business? And then do your research and find out which platform they're on, and that's the platform you go on. It's about, and choose one. I know, like you can choose a number of them, but, choose one and go deep, because you don't have a lot of resources. We have digital advisors that you can talk to that can help you with that strategy if you need that.
Okay, and this is probably the same answer for Karen, but do Realise Business do anything around technology solution advice?
We do, and I'll talk about it. I've got the last slide, but we actually are funded under the federal government for, and we've got 3 ASBAT, it's Small Business Advisory Service Digital Solutions. So we have 3 advisors available. They're absolutely working flat out right now, but they can help you, and they're all doing online consultations, and they can help you with that. You need to have, see, one of the things that you all want to do is, and I'll just say this clearly, you all want to get out there and implement. And what our advisors will do will probably frustrate you a little bit, because they'll come back and say, you need to look at your brand, because what's the message you want to say? And I'm really, this is the time for that. So if ever you wanted to know the value of brand, it's now, because your clients, the trust that you build with them now will stay with your clients, will remember it past COVID. So if you haven't got a clear brand message, if you haven't got a clear proposition, our advisors will help you with that, and then they'll help you with the platform to do that. But you'll have to do some work on understanding that and then get the right platform.
Thanks, Jackie. I think we'll make that the last question for now. We'll get back. If we missed anyone, we'll definitely come back to you with answers. And Jackie, could I just add, we will also add links in. We've got a great marketing webinar by our advisor, Sarah Berry, and a great social media webinar from one of our workshop presenters, Kieran. So we will add the links for both of those on our email for you all as well, so you can view those for free too.
Yeah, and look, this is all about educating yourself right now and getting, and being the master of the knowledge and not abdicating that. I'm going to just move on, but I'm really curious that, and I hope everybody got something from this session. You share with me, put something in the chat box. What did you get out of this session from today? So I know what's valuable, so I can continue refining. We can continue working on what's working for people. Let me know, what did you get out of this session? Be really, really, really great to hear that. So while you're typing away in chat, telling us what you got out of this session, I just want to remind you, you may have known that we used to previously, we've always been funded to deliver programs. I was on the phone yesterday afternoon with the Small Business Minister, telling him we need more hours, we need more advisors, we need to be helping more businesses. We've eliminated any out-of-pocket fees, so there's no fees work with any of our advisors. All our work is free, and we're only taking what the government is going to give us. So we're reducing, we're getting less, but this is the time for us to be here to help you. We're a not-for-profit, and this is we're here, and that's why we're here. We're here to help businesses in the good times, but but also to support you through these really tough times. So if you need help applying for debt, if you need help with the cash flow forecast, if you want to brainstorm ideas, if you're thinking about pivoting, if you want to get online fast, we've had feedback this week. Our appointments have doubled week on week in the last 3 weeks. But we want to just say that the feedback from a lot of people is that it's great to they just feel like it's hard to just talk to talk to family, and it's great to be talking to somebody who's removed. And we've had people who weren't going to go online, and then they spoke to an advisor and they saw the opportunity. They were actually going to close down their business. We've had people who were going to get rid of staff in the wrong way, and we've been able to help them go, no, hang on, how else can we help staff? Now, some of you in what you're giving feedback on is really specific for you, and I can't, there's 150 people online right now, and we can't go into specific details. That's why you've got a one-on-one advisor. So talk to our one-on-one advisor who can help you with that. Right, because and again, I'm not a GST expert and I'm not a tax expert. That's what you pay your accountant for, and that's what you pay your bookkeeper for. So you've got to talk to them about it. I hear your frustration. The government hasn't made it easy. You know, they spin it and they've packaged things up to sound like they're sometimes better than what they are. For some people, it's going to be it's great. But for some of you, it's quite frustrating. But that's why I can't stress. I can't give you specific financial advice. Your accountants have to do that, or your BAS agents. But thank you. A lot of people have said how the branding was a great bit of feedback. A lot of people have thanked us for the financial and the forecasting. A lot of people really want to talk through more about the client section. Speak with a business advisor. I'm giving you a really top line area, but you know what, the purpose of this is to say, what do you need to focus on, and then go deep with an advisor. We are in a really we're in a very, you're very fortunate to have access to this. Don't not get access to it. Don't try and work it out on your own. I want to thank you all. Thank you for your feedback. We need to think about post-COVID. We need to be really optimistic, and there is going to be light. It will come. It's not going to be an all the time thing. And I really want to help you build. I want to help you rebound. And we want to help you stay in business. So thank you so much for your time today, and we will be in contact again with more of these types of webinars.